Hello, I'm Sarah. Welcome to your yoga, relaxation and meditation class number 1. So if you haven't been to a yoga, relaxation and meditation lesson before, the aim is that we are going to help you to feel more relaxed, hopefully by the end of this lesson. These sessions can help students and anybody who is interested in recognising when you're feeling stressed or anxious, because sometimes we don't even realise that's what's happening to us, and how we can cope with this, what we can do about it, and what we can do to make ourselves feel better. So I have my yoga mat down on the ground behind me, and I've also got my cushion as well that's behind me. If you don't have a yoga mat, it doesn't matter. You could sit on a blanket or a rug. If you've not got carpet underneath you and you're on a blanket or a rug, just make sure that you're nice and padded where you're sitting. We're going to be lying down for a short time as well. This lesson is going to last about 15 minutes. My cushion is just to help me to be more comfortable, and I'll give you a little bit more information about that as we go along. So we're going to start off by being seated, and I'm going to sit cross-legged, but if cross-legged is uncomfortable for you, then you can always sit in another position. You could sit with your legs straight out in front of you, or you could sit in a kneeling position, or you could sit on a chair. If you become uncomfortable, then please do move, because if you're uncomfortable, you're not going to be able to focus on what we're doing. And this isn't a competition. Ignore your ego telling you should be staying there even if it's hurting. And particularly pay attention to if you're getting discomfort around your knees, because if you're not used to sitting cross-legged, then the lack of movement in your hips may start to cause some discomfort around your knees, and we always need to listen to pain from the knees. Okay, so I'm going to sit towards the front edge of my cushion. That just helps to tilt my pelvis forward, and then that means we can get some nice alignment in the spine. Just remember, we're not looking for a straight spine. The spine has curves in it, but what we want to avoid is that natural tendency when we come to being seated where we start to slump. So if you're not used to to sitting like this, you may find that the muscles in your back start to complain, your hips, your ankles. As I said, if you become uncomfortable, then please do move. So we're going to start off just resting the hands on the knees, or you can rest them in the lap if you'd like to. I'm going to ask you to start to take some nice slow deep breaths in and out through the nose. So you can close your eyes if you want to. The aim of meditation is to try and maintain focus on one thing, and today we're using the breath as that point of focus, and by doing that we can reduce the chatter in our head from the mind. That's what the mind does. So while I'm speaking, just continue to take slow, natural, unhurried breaths in and out through the nose. And I'd like you to start to count how long your in-breath is and how long your out-breath is. It doesn't matter how long the length of the breath is. But if the in-breath and out-breath are of differing lengths, then you could start to try to make them of an equal length. But as we do this, we don't increase the count of one or the other breath by more than one at a time. And that may mean that we end up decreasing the length of one breath as we increase the length of the other. It depends on how big the difference is in the length of your in-breath and your out-breath. If you find that you are desperate to breathe in after your out-breath, or desperate to breathe out after your in-breath, then you're probably pushing it a little bit too far. And once again, don't listen to the ego. This isn't a competition. This is all about you beginning to recognise chatter in the mind, when it's not doing you any favours, when we're thinking over and over about one thing, perhaps something that's bothering us, and how we can break that cycle of thought by stopping, pausing, and moving our attention to one thing, and that is our breath. So if you have your eyes closed, that helps to remove the stimulation from what's around you. It helps prevent you becoming distracted by things that you're seeing. There may not be much going on around you, but you might find your mind wandering off to some picture on the wall or something in the room. So closing the eyes removes those distractions. And hopefully you're still counting. And you're beginning to notice when your focus has moved away from your breath and how long your breath is, that count of your breath. Quite often we'll get carried away on a train of thought and we've not even noticed that we've moved away from where we are and what we're doing. And sometimes that's called mindfulness as well. It's perfectly normal that you will become distracted, probably over and over again, but the more you practice, and we will be exploring other ways that you can maintain your focus on one thing, other ways that you can meditate over the sessions to follow. And remember, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you can move your seated position. If you lose count, you just start again. And if you become distracted away from your breath, you just notice that's what's happened. It's the noticing that's important. And then you take your focus back to your breath and back to your count. Maybe your breath has settled a little now and it's a little bit more relaxed, a little longer. But wherever you are with that, we are still trying to keep the breath natural, unhurried, not forced. Just allowing the breath to flow in and the breath to flow out. If you're finding it a struggle to breathe in and out through your nose, then you can breathe in and out through your mouth. The aim here is comfort, being kind to yourself, slowing down, just taking this 15 minutes to focus in on yourself and to start to recognise when that voice in your head, your mind, it's the mind's job to chatter, starting to recognise when that chatter is just a bit too much. It doesn't matter what the chatter's about. And once again, every time our focus moves away from our breath, we notice. We move away from whatever we become distracted by, and then we start to count our breath again. We've been sitting here for long enough, particularly if this is your first session. Even those few minutes I know can be quite challenging. So we're going to come down and lie on our mat. If you're not comfortable with lying down on the ground, you can stay seated. Maybe you'd just like to change your seated position or sit with your back against a wall or move to a chair or the sofa. But you do still want to try and maintain some alignment in the back, in the spine. So we're looking for a position that helps us to maintain the natural curves in the back. If you're staying seated, this is, rather than slumping. If you're coming down onto the mat, then obviously the ground's going to support your back. So you might want to use your cushion underneath your head just to support the back of your head. Remember, the key here is comfort. If you can't find a comfortable position, you won't be able to find relaxation and you won't be able to stay there. So just coming down onto your back with your knees bent, your feet on the mat. And where do your feet go? Well, that depends on your hips. So everybody's got a different body. We're all different. So a good sort of starting point is probably about hip width apart. But if your feet are too close together, your knees will tend to swing to the outside edges of your mat. If your feet are too far apart, your knees will tend to swing in. So you might want to take a few moments moving your feet apart and then moving together, just getting a sense of where is right for you. I find as well, if I turn my feet out a little bit, it helps me to feel comfortable. We're trying to find support through the bones in our legs without using lots of muscular tension in the legs to hold them in this position. And then we take our attention up our back and we just wiggle the shoulders around a little bit until we can find a comfortable position where the shoulders are away from the ears. And then we start to take slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose again. And we return to our count. And you notice that your breathing will feel different if you are lying down on a mat. That's partly due to the effect of gravity. But we follow the same principles. Slow breaths in and out through the nose. One breath rolling to the next. In breath to out breath. Out breath to in breath. And we notice again if the mind becomes distracted away from where we are and what we're doing. And each time we notice, we just take our focus back to our breath and back to our count. And then you can start to introduce a little bit more movement into your body. Maybe slide your legs away from you and reach your arms above you and take a big stretch. Pointing your toes away from you and then pushing through your heels and pointing your toes up towards the ceiling. And then I'd suggest bringing your thighs to your belly, your knees to your chest, hands around your shins or the backs of your thighs. You can have a little rock from side to side across your lower back. And then bring yourself over onto your side and slowly up to seated. Okay, so that brings to an end the first of our yoga relaxation and meditation classes. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in any live, personal or bespoke yoga sessions, then you'll find my details at the end of the lesson on the screen. Or if you have any questions about what we've been doing, then please do get in touch with me. Okay, I hope to see you again soon.